So, Far Harbor, now play the goddamn thing. I'm a big fan of Fallout. Now, I don't have, I used to have the Pip-Boy sitting like right there. It's on the floor. Sorry, Pip-Boy. So I loved Fallout 3. I liked Fallout 4, but I think it kind of revealed a lot of its problems to me more this time around. Wasn't super into it. I find the combat kind of monotonous now, and the perk system's terrible, and whatever, but these are all complaints about the main game, and I got bored with it. I played 40 hours of it, but I got bored of it. That being said, I did buy the Pip-Boy edition, and I did buy the season pass before they upped the price. So, what I discovered with Far Harbor is that I kind of have been playing the game wrong. I've been playing Fallout 4 wrong. And unintentionally, or maybe, I don't know, because I wanted to play it differently, I decided to just get a bunch of quests and go do them, which is that's the point of the game, right? Is to get the quests and to go do them. But I never, the way I played Fallout 3, the way I played, for the most part, Fallout 4 was, I'm going to pick a direction and I'm going to go walk around and explore. And that's fun and all, but it gets boring. And I don't know why I was forcing myself to play like this. So Far Harbor really made me realize, just get the goddamn quests and go do them. So basically in Far Harbor, it's a pretty big sized landmass. It's not huge. I wouldn't use that word. I'd say pretty big. There's a lot to see in there, and there's 3 main cities. And each city has its leader person that says, hey, go over to this other guy, they have a quest for you. This person has a quest for you. And so does that person. Okay, I get all the quests, I gather all the shit, and then I go out into the world and do the quests. And playing the game like that, where I was just checking things off, I need to go do this quest, alright, I'm gonna fast travel next to it, and walk there. Really, and not sightsee. Made the game so much more enjoyable for me. And I don't know why I didn't realize it sooner, or anything like that. It was so much better to just pick a quest and go do it. And there are a lot of quests to do in this game. Like I said, there are 3 cities, and they basically toss you quests to complete. Now, they're simple quests. Sure, go here and kill that thing. Go here and see what happened, which usually involves fighting something and picking something up the ground. But there are a lot of things in the cities. The story and the plot of this is very interesting. It's basically 3 cities kind of keeping the peace, I guess, without spoiling. It's not like a major spoiler. There's people, and they don't like each other. It's Fallout. No one's a fan of each other in this game. So you're keeping the peace between all these cities, and they all have their own issues. So you got the Far Harbor citizens who are we're just trying to live here with this creepy fog. And then there's Acadia, which is a synth city, and what's the name of the other? I don't even remember what they are, but the people who were the Atom guys. God damn, I was just playing this game. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The radiation, children of the Atom, boom. And they all have their own interesting stories. And what I noticed in particular was I really enjoyed listening to what all these characters had to say and kind of their history. Even the children of the Atom, who I think are really stupid, it made me not care about them, I guess, but care about them, sure. That was interesting because I don't care about these stupid idiots who think radiation is some god. They're crazy people, but the people in the city are just people, and they have their little quests, and they have their little plights going on, and that was all interesting and fun to learn about. There was a lot more lore, I guess you could call it, that was fun to listen to and hear about, and I do like this contained package. I've said this about Dark Souls in the past, I would love a monthly fee Dark Souls where I just get new levels and new bosses every month in perpetuity. And that's what I like about the Fallout DLC. I'll tell you which harbor was for the farthest. That's what I like about this DLC, is because it is a nice little chunk away from the main game. It doesn't have really anything to do with it except Nick Valentine. And you go there, and you do a bunch of quests, and you have its own little story, and then you're done. It's I don't know, 12 hours, and then you wait for the new DLC. I like that model much more than getting a giant game like The Witcher 3 or Fallout 4. It's too much, in my opinion, for me, to be invested in. It's way too much and expensive, but a nice chunk like this, maybe you can make it a little bigger, sure. That's awesome. Which harbor is the furthest? You know, there are several harbors in this game. Most of them are uninhabited, so I think Far Harbor is itself the farthest. By name. Furthest, farthest, you decide. What else about... No, oh, that's one thing to bring up, actually. They're about... So the main plot of this isn't very long, and I would recommend doing the side quest just because there's maybe 5 main quests to do. It's not a lot in the main plot, but the very end of it can splinter off into what you decide to do. There are a lot of factors at play with these 3 cities, and you can, not to spoil anything, you can kind of wreak havoc on them, on all of them, if you want to. Now I didn't, because I didn't really see the point. They're not all bad, nothing's all bad. Some of them are better than others, but there is a nice little, it's a gray area. It is worth noting, though, that one of these quests, and a lot of these main quests aren't combat-based, which is nice to see, too, because I don't find the combat very, very great. One of these quests is, as I get lost in my brain, one of these quests is a pseudo-puzzle, Minecraft tower defense thing that you do in like the settlement building stuff. Yes, the main city in Far Harbor is called Far Harbor. It's kind of dumb. It's very dumb. I was confused when people started saying, "Oh, I live in Far Harbor," and I what? Wait, huh? Why do you live in? Why didn't you name it another? And then it's Far Harbor. I think it's Far Harbor because they used to have the whole island, and then you go to this other part that's the Southwest Harbor, and then there's another harbor. This was the far one. Whatever. So back to this jank-ass, stupid tower defense Minecraft garbage. There's 5 levels of it, and I don't think you have to do all 5. I think you really just technically have to do 1 or 2. And they're fine. The first couple are oh, the first one's cool. Oh, it's kind of a puzzle. And the next one's interesting. And then there's another one. And then there's another one. And by the time you get to the 5th one, it was borderline infuriating. And it's kind of half my fault, but mostly the game's fault for some of these weird mechanics it does. So you're walking around in this weird cube space, and you can fall off the world. You don't die and you don't lose progress or anything, but you can fall off the world. And to the developers I ask, why can you fall off the world if it doesn't cause anything? There's no reason to fall off a lot of these walls, and it just sets you back. And then that's besides the point, because you're building in this weird environment, and you're building blocks, and then there's blocks that shoot the laser beam, and the laser beam has to shoot firewalls, and it's out of control to understand all these weird things, and you gotta line them up, and it's just not that. It's fun for the first 3 pretty well, and then 4 kind of like, alright, the 4th one, the 5th one is just, someone had a field day with this, and they need to be stopped. It's too much, and when an hour and a half of a 12-hour DLC, and I did pretty much everything, when an hour and a half of a 12-hour DLC is spent in a minigame that isn't very good, I'm a little confused, because a lot of the rest of this is awesome. I don't think there is spray paint in the game. You know, I am playing on PC, so I could mod that. I could mod that, but you're making an assumption that there is a sign that says "Welcome to Far Harbor." There is no sign. This is a shanty town. it's a couple of cabins. Just like any city in Fallout, it makes no logical sense because there are 3 houses grouped together, and it's like, well, this is our city. That's not really a city. That makes anything can be a city in this game, and it doesn't. There's no. Well, I guess there's no economy because the fucking world's over. But whatever. Even the other cities you go to that aren't Far Harbor, one's in a submarine base, but it's a religious cult, and that one makes the most sense of why everyone's living in shacks. And the other one is a bunch of synths, so they don't even need shit. And they don't care. The problem I have with cities in Fallout in general is that if you take Diamond City, for instance, it's in a baseball diamond, haha, Diamond City. And it's the most established city in the area, there's a lot of people there, etc. Why don't they clean it up a little? This is my major problem with Fallout 4. These bombs landed hundreds of years ago. Why don't we clean it up? How come there's so much debris everywhere? Why don't we get a little bit better wood for some of these planks, right? That's my problem, is it doesn't make any goddamn sense as to why it's so, not dilapidated, but just in disrepair constantly, and in debris. You clean up your goddamn house, people, in these games. Now, whatever. The Far Harbor DLC, in particular, is perhaps the most interesting thing in Fallout 4 I played. Now, I never beat the main campaign, so I don't know. But there's a lot of interesting things to do, a lot of cool characters, new enemies, tons of new weapons. That's something this DLC does that the main game didn't really do. It tosses weapons to you. So you're given, we'll do a bunch of quests. I finished this one quest, and the resolution was basically, I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and so is he, so that this other person doesn't know, right? So the end of the quest line is basically him saying, alright, we'll just keep quiet like this, and nothing ever happened. And then the screen pops to, here's a special sledgehammer you just got, and you get to rotate it, and then you exit that screen, and it's like, quest completed. Like, it doesn't make any goddamn sense. You keep your mouth shut, here's a sledgehammer. Like, it was so weird how it did it, but it's cool that all these special weapons you get a ton of them. Now, are they better than weapons you probably already had? Nah, probably not. Or weapons you're randomly going to find. I found some weapon in this DLC that is just a random drop that's incredible. Incredible. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's cool to get weapons. There's an armor set in this that's pretty awesome, too. But you have to beat all 5 of those stupid Tetris Minecraft minigame. Good God. Are baseball bats a usable weapon? Baseball bats are a usable weapon in the game. Oh, there's some lore, too, in Diamond City about some guy who they worship this place almost. The baseball diamond, like it was some crazy sport of baseball where they went around and they beat people with bats, and that's what they think it is. As if there was no way to find out. As if in 200 years, all knowledge... I guess why would you teach your kids about baseball? But whatever. So yes, you can use baseball. But I find melee not very interesting in Fallout. I find the gunplay not super interesting either. It's about the story. And it's about the things that happen to these people. The combat is all over the place and doesn't really make sense. But it's fun enough. And I did find myself enjoying it more. I didn't feel as underpowered. I felt really underpowered in the main game. So maybe... I don't know. Maybe I finally stopped being an idiot since I finally figured out after 50 hours of the game how to play it in an enjoyable way. Right? That's so stupid. That's so dumb. It was basically the Warriors. Yeah, there's this guy you can talk to in Diamond City who's all about... He's wearing a baseball uniform. He's got the ball. He's got the ball. No, the bat. And he tells you want to know about the old thing of baseball that our ancestors used to do? Yeah, and he's talking about they'd put spikes on the bats and they'd do all this crazy shit and they'd beat each other up or kill each other or whatever. And that was what it was. It was basically, he's describing gang wars with baseball bats. It's interesting. All that stuff is interesting. Is it super compelling? I don't know. It's fun. It's more of a weird joke. Someone spent a couple of weeks on this weird baseball man, and I don't know if it's worth it just to have a goof. This weird goof, right? Goof is a fun word. But Far Harbor I really enjoyed. I don't know if it's worth. Isn't it like $20 or something? I don't know if it's worth $20, but the season pass. You got the season pass before they raise the price. Well worth it. Well worth it. Any other questions, Will, about bat gangs? The Roman city, the countryside, just beating people with their bats. That's basically what he described. I'd have to go back and find it and see what he had to say about it, but it's kind of obnoxious. That's the other thing too. You can get bogged down in the main game with all these people, but Far Harbor kind of keeps it contained to there's 3 people in the city you need to talk to. It's not 60 in Diamond City, for instance, which is a crazy town. It's too many people. Far too many people. How long have I been talking about Far Harbor? Jesus Christ. Not that long. Okay, let's chill. We're gonna move on to Uncharted, and I'm not gonna spoil Uncharted, so be prepared. I dance around it. I do have a spoilers tag. See? Boop, boop. I'm very professional.